Hello and welcome to the first in a series of videos which covers our recently published Hays Asia Overseas Returnees report. The report is a definitive white paper which highlights overseas returnee recruiting trends in Asia based on survey responses from both working professionals and organizations based in each of our 5 Hays Asia operating markets. They are China, Hong Kong SAR, Japan, Malaysia and Singapore. So today and over the coming weeks, we'll provide a further insight and a deeper analysis into the recruitment trends of overseas returnees in Asia. Before we begin, let's get our panel members to introduce themselves. Ron, let's start with you.
Sure, yes, my name's Grad Torrens. I'm the Regional Director for Hays here in Singapore. I've been with Hays now for 14 years. I'm an overseas leaver, but I'm not yet a returner. So I left Australia in 2006 to move to London, and then in 2010 I relocated here to Singapore, and I've yet to return home though.
Tony.
Cool. My name is Tony. I'm one of the founding member and directors of Grad Connection. So we've been running the business for 11 years. Me myself is a returnee as well, so that's actually something quite close to my heart.
Do you want to describe a little bit more about what Grad Connection does?
Yeah, sure, definitely. So we started Grad Connection when we were fresh grads 11 years ago, obviously. So Grad Connection is basically a dedicated employer branding platform and job board for university students and grads to search jobs after they leave university.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
thanks
that's
Tony.
in a nutshell. So yeah.
And Yani?
Hi, my name is Yani. I have been in recruitment for close to 11 years now, but for the last 3 years I've had the opportunity of working with Hays and actually working with Hays in Canberra, Australia initially, and I've just returned to join my home market here back in Singapore earlier this month.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Right, thanks all for the introduction. So today, in the first episode, we will be looking at the values that employers sees in overseas returnee. So Grant, I'll shoot the first question at you. What makes overseas returnee stand apart from local candidates in Asia?
Yeah, sure. And probably the best way to answer that question is if we think back to the report that we released, the Hays Asia Returnees report, and we looked at 4 main reasons as to why those Asians who have worked overseas would maybe be more appealing to hiring managers or organizations back here in Asia. And those 4 reasons were cross-cultural awareness, language and communication skills, different perspectives on business, and the final one was overseas commercial experience. And in fact, the importance or the relevance of each reason is in that order. So 76% of the respondents who we surveyed indicated that it was that cross-cultural awareness that was the most important benefit to them when they were looking to bring an overseas person back. And you kind of think about that, it does make a lot of sense, because that's probably one of the hardest skills that you can acquire without actually going and embedding yourself into another market. So, you can watch a lot of movies, you can watch a lot of YouTube clips, you can read a lot of books about other cultures, but you can't really understand the nuances of the diversity that exists in other markets unless you go and live there and embed yourself in there. So you can bring that back into your home country, that is 100% going to be a great skill set that an organization can acquire.
Okay, and Tony, what do you have to say in regards to what Ron just mentioned?
Yeah, definitely. I think obviously, especially in Asia, it's quite a globalized market now. I think all the companies are doing business with Western world and vice versa as well. So obviously, this is one of the key sort of strengths that returnees that bring back as well. Because obviously, it's not like you're watching movies, you will be like Ron said, you watch a movie, it's not necessarily understanding the culture fully, but with those returnees, they spend years and years, making friends and creating networks in overseas, and that's something that's very valuable for them. It's not just the ability to speak the language, but it's the ability to how to understand the culture and how to sort of embed those sort of skill sets or the knowledge to use it to their own sort of abilities.
Okay, so really I think what the both of you just said was really about the fact that employers are not just looking at the extra skills that these overseas returnees bring, but really bring on something that's uniquely an advantage for overseas returnee, which is to sort of bring that cultural
exactly.
knowledge
and it is it's common knowledge that if you have a workforce that has gaps in cultural awareness, that actually leads to lower productivity workforce. So if you can address that by bringing in people that maybe have a heightened sense of cultural awareness, then by default you're actually increasing your productivity.
Okay, well for Yani then, in just what Grad and Tony mentioned, in your opinion, what are the other benefits in possessing cross-cultural awareness?
Well, in my experience, what it's given me is, I guess, a sense of heightened adaptability, and again, the ability to build relationships in an environment that's, I guess, somewhat unfamiliar to you. But generally, it just also builds, I guess, tolerance and respect for others, and seeing the value and actually maybe coming back here, being able to champion things like diversity and inclusion in the workplace and also in business.
Okay. So, and of course, just staying with you, you of course just recently relocated back to Singapore from Australia. So, can you share with us the value that you feel you offer to Hays with your overseas work experience?
Well, through working with Hays in Canberra, which still is a high-performing office for us, I was able to expose myself to and adopt some of the best practices that I've seen that they apply within their office, and perhaps that's something that I can use to contribute to the high-performing culture that we're looking to, I guess, build and maintain here.
Okay. If I can add to that, I mean, we have a very good communication platform within Hays that allows people like myself to read about what is going on in other parts of the world. And if some office or some country is performing really highly, the head of that country will give an update as to why that might be. Now, I can read that and try to mimic those behaviors or characteristics in our office here, but it does not compare to the benefit that I'll get from taking someone like Yani, who has lived and breathed that culture, and bringing that person here, and then using that person's experience to then start to open up those characteristics into our office. Much more beneficial.
Okay, well, thanks, Grant. So just carry on the part 2 of the conversation today. So given that obviously employers have identified a key number of attributes that clearly ranks these overseas returnees over local candidates, is this reflected in the type of packages that are offered to these returnees, or are they rewarded the same as local candidates?
Well, I mean, again, we go back to the overseas returnee report and the responses that our survey population indicated. The answer to that would be yes. They are willing to pay a premium for overseas returnees. Over half, it was 56% of respondents said that they would indeed pay overseas returnees a premium. From that 56%, over half, just under half, 25%, said that they would give a premium of up to 10%. 24% said that they'll actually pay more than that. 24% said that they will pay somewhere between 11 and 25% more, which is quite substantial. And incredibly, 7% of all those respondents said that they would actually pay 25% up to 50% more for an overseas returnee.
Okay.
Now obviously, there was differences in different countries. So Malaysia, in fact, was the country, or respondents from Malaysia indicated that they are more willing to pay a premium for overseas returnees. So 63% of respondents from Malaysia indicated that they would. If we look at Hong Kong, interestingly enough, they were the country that perhaps were not as agreeable to paying a premium for overseas returnees.
Do you think there's a reason why some countries would be more willing to pay these overseas returnees compared to some others who might be, as you said, Hong Kong?
Yeah, I mean, and there's many factors as to why that might be, and geopolitics would even play a part. So it could ebb and flow with a different macroeconomic environment. But sometimes depends on what's going on in your country. But not having that local experience, or not understanding that local language, or understanding the local nuances, could actually play against you. So, if we look at a country like China at the moment, that maybe is a bit more domestic focused, hiring managers there are probably thinking to themselves, actually, when we're looking to hire someone now, we probably want someone that understands what has been going on in the market recently and can go out and engage with our stakeholders or our customers at that level. And someone who's been overseas for a few years or many years may not offer the kind of advantages that they usually would in that scenario. Therefore, they may not see the benefit in paying more for that skill set.
Okay, and Tony, just a quick one then. I mean,
Yeah, sure.
Based on your experience with Grad Connection, do you resonate with what sort of Grant just said in regards to you do see a trend with overseas returnees sort of enjoying that sort of more premium package returning home?
Yeah, definitely. I think especially from a point of view where Asia is hunger for high calibers, right? And then it's very important for a lot of companies, especially if you talk about China, Alibaba, Tencent, they are hiring those front-end designers or back-end IT guys, heavily. And what they are trying to do is that they're trying to get all of those talent back to the home country or homegrown talents. So it's almost like you talk about China and US trade war in a way. So obviously talent is at war as well. I'm pretty sure you guys know the best as well. So you guys see this every day and and things like that. So it is very important for a country like China to keep up with the world, and especially if they want to compete with the US in terms of technology and AI automation and things like that as well. Like they want to get the best expert to work for them. And then I think obviously as good as the education system China has becoming, the returnees, they do bring very special set of skill set, especially in those sort of new age or new world technology in some way. So that's why they are willing to pay premium. And just touch a little bit on the Hong Kong stuff as well. So I think in a way it's actually quite interesting because we obviously operate in Hong Kong. We go to Hong Kong all the time. I mean, I go to Hong Kong all the time. And what you see is that Hong Kong has a very high level percentage of expats in Hong Kong already. So in some way, they are already having the Western sort of higher level of experts in Hong Kong. So in a way that they are already bringing that to Hong Kong instead of having returnee to bring that back to Hong Kong in some way.
Okay.
So that's why.
So the expat culture similar to Singapore is pretty high.
Or even higher than Singapore in some way as well, as far as I can see. So that's why they are potentially not paying as higher premium to those returnees because we already have the westernized expert in Hong Kong already. So.
Well, thanks, Tony. So I have the last question here, right? So, and it's for you, Grant. So with returnees more likely to be placed on a premium package, as we've discussed, do they live up to expectations? You obviously have been here. You've hired lots of overseas returnees. What do you say?
Well, I mean, from a personal perspective, to be completely honest, I have not experienced hiring any other Singapore returnee apart from Yani. But Yani has certainly lived up to expectations, there's no doubt about that. But so maybe a better way to answer the question is to look at the report and look at some of the responses that we received. And the report, again, would indicate that most hiring managers or most organizations around Asia are indeed happy with the overseas returnees that they've gone on to hire. So it was only 40% that said they were happy, but you have to understand that 20% of those respondents, of all respondents, who took part in the survey, had not actually ever hired an overseas returnee. Okay, so really you've got 40% out of 80% are saying that they were happy with it. Probably a better way to answer your question is if we look at one of the questions that we asked in the report, which is, would you go on to hire an overseas returnee? And 80%, I think it was 82% actually, said that they would absolutely go and at some point in the next 12 months go on to hire an overseas returnee. Now, if the perception or the feeling was that overseas returnees don't live up to the expectations that people have, then such a high number probably would not be interested in going on to hire again. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And even when you think about word of mouth, 90% of respondents indicated that they would recommend to someone in their peer group that they should consider hiring an overseas returnee.
Well, thanks, Grant. And obviously, we have reached to the end of our first episode today. So make sure you download your copy of our report in our website, and be sure to stay tuned to our next video, which we look at, why overseas returnees are looking forward to return home to continue their professional career. We'll see you.